5, got the 1942 pouring in my cup. In the session real loud, good gas, yeah, you know we about to roll it up. Bring the bottles to the session, big tab, go ahead and just live it up. Get lit one night, after that, we can go ahead.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Icon. We here on 95 South Podcast once again. First and foremost, want to thank God for this opportunity to be able to come on here and to be able to chop it up about different discussions and topics. You know what I'm saying? I got my man in the building, my right-hand man, your baby mama's favorite radio host. You know what I'm saying? King Jacob in the building. What's going on, fam?
Hey, man, what's up, man? Glad to be in the land of living. We on this side of the dirt. And you already know what it is, man. Each day you wake up, you got a chance and a choice. So thank everybody for tapping in with us, man.
Yes, sir. So unfortunately, our guest tonight couldn't come on. He having some electrical issues. Electricity went out wherever he's at. But we gonna still do what we do, and try to give y'all the best show possible tonight, or whatever. So we're gonna get right into our first topic of the night. And the first thing I want to talk about, we got a couple of things we're gonna talk about. But first thing I want to talk about before we get into that particular topic that we just talked about just a few minutes ago is I want to talk about. So I'm not going, without saying names, people may know what I'm talking about. Some people won't. But I seen something the other day where a friend of mine, they were talking about their daughter on Facebook and some of the stuff that she was going through. And, it's not a secret for people who know her daughter went through a drug situation. Her and my friend, daughter went through a drug situation and overdosed and ended up in the hospital and a lot of things. And her boyfriend, I guess with some domestic violence issues involved and all that kind of stuff. And, even and on my end, I have a family member. I'm not going to say, but the same thing, dealing with some domestic issues and stuff in my family or whatever. So the reason why I bring all this up is because at the end of the day, young people got to realize something. When your parents react in that manner towards you and talk or discuss personal business like that on social media, a lot of time it's not to air you out. It's not to embarrass you. It's not to upset you. It's because they're frustrated. And the frustration is to the point where they don't know what to do. They feel helpless. They feel hopeless. The thing about our kids is most people, let's just say most people in society are not killers. But the one thing that will push you to be a killer is your kids. Your kids will be the one thing in this earth that will push you to kill somebody else if provoked. And when you have people out here that do stuff to your kids, especially in a domestic situation, especially if you think about a mother and her daughter or a father and his daughter, a lot of time, men, boys, they can take care of themselves. But when you talk about a daughter, that's a whole different type of mindset that you will have if somebody do something to harm your child. And so young people got to realize at the end of the day that, like the young lady was like, oh, I hate my mama for real, and all this. And I'm thinking to myself, like, your mama's in the hospital with you every day, making sure you good, that you got what you need, eating right, doing whatever she got to do to get you back to health. Both your parents are there trying to get you back on your feet to help you move on in life. And so at the end of the day, young people got to realize that that's your parents are sometimes all you got. Ask people who lost their mama. Ask people who lost their dad how it hurts, how it affects their lives on a daily basis. That they can't pick up the phone and say, mama, you know what I'm saying, such and such and such and such. They can't laugh with their mama. They can't cry with their mama. They can't have certain conversations with their parents anymore. But some of these kids out here take all that for granted when it comes to their parents and what their parents is willing to do and not to do. I guarantee you got people in prison right now because either they done had to put hands or they had to assault somebody or they had to kill somebody over their kids. Or they even took a charge for their kids because they're like, you know what? I already lived my life. I don't want you to get caught up so I'm gonna take this charge for you. You know what I'm saying? And so these young people got to realize at the end of the day that don't look at your parents as trying to air you out and trying to put you on blast, but but ask them why they doing it. And I guarantee you it comes from a place of frustration. That's where it comes from. But go ahead, King, man. Y'all, let me let you jump in. So he having some technical difficulties real quick. So I'm just gonna keep going. So this the thing. The thing about this whole thing is that when you dealing with somebody out there who's, and it's another thing. It was a time and a place in our society where, when somebody would say something to your mama, like, or say something to you like, oh, your mama, the mama jokes that you would hear when you was like in middle school and high school. Back then, you be to mess around and talk the whole school to move some furniture over your mama. And I think nowadays, a lot of time, kids are willing to put their hands on their parents, on their mama. They willing to cuss their mama out. I don't think the kids in this generation really, really understand. Like sometimes kids in this generation, we to the point where somebody could talk about their mama, and they may say, "Don't talk about my mama," but they still friends with that person, or they still cool with that person, or it could be. It only got to be a friend. It could be a significant other. You know what I'm saying? I dealt with that, or not dealt with it personally, but I had somebody I knew where they let somebody disrespect their mama, and I'm just like, bruh, like at the end of the day, you don't let nobody disrespect your mother. That's the one thing you don't, especially if you dating somebody or going with somebody or whatever. That's the one thing you don't never let happen is your significant other disrespect your mama. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all can have a lot of back and forth arguments and disagreements, but when it comes to your mother, you don't never let nobody disrespect your mother. I don't care who it is. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. So I think we got to get back in the place where, like, even when you think your mother is wrong or whatever, like, the one thing is, like, we all gonna have disagreements with our parents. That's just life. Like, you, from the time you middle school, high school, when you start feeling yourself, you get into an adulthood, you're gonna have a disagreement with your mother. But the one thing that you can't allow yourself to do is allow it to get to a disrespectful level. That's the one thing you can never do with your mother, is allow the disrespect of your that to come to you. And if you disagree with your mother, it's a way to tell your mother, I disagree with you, without being disrespectful. And that's what we have to get back to. I don't know if these young people need to have a class on it or what we need to do, but whatever we need to do, we need to get these kids to understand that this disrespect of your mother or these elderly people, your elders, your OGs, whatever you want to call them, has to come to a halt. It has to come to a complete stop. You know what I'm saying? We can't keep functioning in our society, especially in our culture, and we disrespecting our elders. You know what I'm saying? So, so Jacob, you back up?
Yeah, I'm here.
But okay, yeah. So I want you to jump in or whatever, and tell me how you feel about all this. I know you got some stuff to say on this.
The simplicity of is the situation is we grew up in an era where our parents was hard nosed. You know, they know what society brought, because a lot of our parents lived through the Depression days. You know, those from 68 to 72. Those are Depression years, and so they seen what it really could be. These kids ain't never had to go to white only, black only. You know, they're privileged, and so with those privileges comes with entitlement, and so they think that somebody told these kids that they have a voice, say what they say, and don't let nobody kill your freedom of speech. But in my household, you couldn't say what you want to say, and your freedom of speech is when your parents get through saying what they say, and you ask them could you speak. If they allowed you to speak, you did it. But if not, you was okay. Cause a lot of times when my pop said something, that was the end of it. It's not up for debate. So I just think because I see kids all the time, man, like just even in stores, man, they just be going off on their parents and just mumbling under their breath. Mama under what breath? Man, I wouldn't have no teeth in my mouth. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think the TV, the television, the social media is raising these kids now, and so therefore they think they can be disrespectful to somebody who's putting food on the table, putting a roof over their head, somebody that got you on their health insurance, their life insurance, and where they do that at. And so I just think, and then they got this thing called abuse, child abuse and stuff. I was talking to an old cat, man. He said, child abuse, man. What? He said, that's why these kids can do what they want to do because these government laws, these state laws, these city, these county laws have taught them that, the parents can't do nothing to them. They can say what they want to say. And so I just feel like we got to get back to that old tough way of love. You know, um, the mentality of like, what is a child, 7, 8 years old, doing with an iPhone, and the newest iPhone at that?
Mm-hmm.
You, 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 your little ass can barely spell iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need one? And why should these kids 12 and 13 have every pair of LeBrons that come out, every pair of Jordans that come out? Why? Your your mom and pops don't have any shoes that cost over $50, $60, man. Like, so what are we teaching them, man? We we're not teaching them about land and property and residual income and credit and business credit, man. We're basically letting these kids uh, watch what they want to watch on TV, listen to what they like. Where is the parental advisory at, man? Like like it's certain stuff that you couldn't listen to when I was growing up. It's certain stuff on TV that you couldn't watch. You know what I mean? And you could not sit around in grown folks' mouth. And watch everything come out their mouth. So these kids had everything that grown folks say now. And so when it's a grown up conversation, they feel like they can join in. What? If
Mm-hmm.
you don't set your little monkey ass down somewhere. So man, I just think society, the television and social media has played a big part on how these kids look at life, and it's played a big part on how we raise them. And then a lot of these kids, we got to get back to the father being in the home. You know what I mean? Mama can't teach you how to be a man. She can teach you what she know, but it's you can have your uncles and your granddad around and your godfather, but it's still not the same as having a father in the home,
Mm-hmm.
having that structure. You know that structure of the family from the dad, and understand the dad teaching his sons and teaching them why women should be appreciated, who they are. You know, your mama could have very well left this earth having you. So there's not going to be any disrespect at all. And then with the females, the very the very first male that a female is supposed to see that shows her any type of love, honesty, integrity. Your commitment as a father to really teach her about the things she hears in society when it comes to men, because we can be honest with it. All men are not good men, just like all
Mm-hmm.
women are not good women. And so teaching them characteristics and what to look for, and to look for the body language of somebody trying to get on them. I mean, You know, these and now everybody is in a society where it seems like every woman got their cleavage out from got them 13 to 82.
Mm-hmm.
They show their cleavage. So if you showing all your assets, then how should I treat you like a lady? Like you're not covering up. So if I'm a bull and I'm looking to get some milk from a cow, I don't want that deteriorated milk because 5 or 6 bulls already had it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we just gotta get back to the old way, man. You know, when you can really sit down on the side of your grandma's bed and talk to her, and she really give you some game. She dropped some jewels on you, and I really think that um, a lot of the people that was in the village, you know, the older men that really took up time with the children, man. I feel like that's few far in between now. You still have some that do it, but it's very few, man. And so if you can't learn nothing from the people who's been on this earth before you, then the kids going out there blind, duct tape all across their eyes. And so, and that's why it's so important, man, that we keep the village going, that we have mentorship, that we have different seminars that we take these young men and young women to, that we take our daughters and the young ladies in our family to these women empowerment events and let them see some women that look like them that's very successful, as well as the men. Let these young boys see some men that look like them that's very successful. And so they can understand that you don't have to be a ball player. You don't have to sell drugs. Like, you can do anything you want, whether you want to be a doctor, lawyer, architect, just whatever you may want to do. The sky's the limit. And you guys have more opportunity because it was hard back in the days for your parents to prepare you for college. Now your parents can prepare you for college. You can start picking and choosing any university you want, or even if you don't want to go to college, you can. By the time you're 15, 16, you can know what your trade is. You know what I mean? And what you want to do, whether it's HVAC, whether it's get a contract license, whether it's home improvement, whether it's be a mechanic, whether it be a diesel mechanic, it's a regular mechanic, or if you just want to be, at the side sector where you don't see too many of them, that male nurses more, you know what I mean, than they pay the average nurse, because it's not that many male nurses, you know what I mean? So, that's my take on it.
Yeah. So before we move on, I was gonna say, the one thing I say is the sense of entitlement with kids, and I thought about this too. We went too far left in the way that we parent, because like I understand. Okay, let's just say you say back in the day when our parents and grandparents were parenting, let's just say beating the kid with a switch or beating with a kid with a Hot Wheel track or whatever was too much. Okay, let's just say that's going too far. But then it's also, we done went all the way left to the point now we got this thing called gentle parenting, where you basically almost negotiate with your kid and whatever about them taking a bath or what they're gonna eat, or whatever they, when the child gets upset, especially when they 2-3 years old, and you feel like you gotta sit here and talk to them, kind of carefully in order to get them to understand why you telling them they can't do something, or why they got to go to bed at a certain time, or whatever the case may be. So it's like you can't be your friend. You can't be your child's friend at 5 years when they 5 years old. That's not the whole. That takes away the whole meaning of parenting. If you trying to be your friend, your child's friend at 5, you know what I mean? Because then when they get 13, 14, 15 years old, they dang sure ain't gonna listen. So whatever fear of God you put them into them when they 5, 4, or 5, you want to hopefully keep most of that intact when they 15, 16. Because I guarantee you, if you don't put the fear of God of them at 4 or 5 and 2 and 3 years old, guarantee you at 13, 14, 15 years old, they're going to cut the food. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing you're going to be able to tell them, or whatever the case may be. So we got to find some kind of happy median when it comes to. I know we can't go all the way back to what it was because society then got too involved. You know what I'm saying? The government, the defects officers, and people on social media and all the other stuff. You see somebody fussing with their child, and all of a sudden they want to report it, but all saying they being too mean to their child or something. So we got to find a happy median because they won't let us go back over here, but we can't go way over here either. So I just wanted to put that out there, before we get on our next topic. Our next topic is the untimely demise of the rapper Magoo. So for y'all that don't know who Magoo is, Magoo was one half of Timbaland and Magoo when they first came on the scene. These was rappers that was out of Virginia. Timbaland came with a whole different new sound that we never heard before with Missy Elliott and Aaliyah and Genuine. And thing about it is people don't talk enough about that movement like they should. Now we talk about Rockefeller and Cash Money and what I'm saying, No Limit and Death Row. We talk about Bad Boy. We talk about all these labels that had an impact in the music industry. But the one label we really don't talk about is we don't talk about what would they call Black Ground Music. What was the name of the one they called Black Ground?
Exactly. Black Ground Music Group.
Yeah, we don't talk enough about Black Ground Music and and what Timbaland brought to the table. Magoo was a different type of voice. If you hear Magoo rap, and it's the one thing I always try to tell my son and stuff when he raps and whatever, I say the one thing about your sound, see, people can duplicate your cadence. They can duplicate your flow. But your voice, it's hard to duplicate somebody's voice, especially when it's unique. You know what I'm saying? You heard Sean.
That's right.
He's not big. He was trying to sound like Big, but he did. And he almost got blackballed out the business. You know what I'm saying? Ja Rule, I don't think he was trying to sound like DMX. He just kind of sounded like DMX at first. And he almost got crucified out the business. And he had to come up with his own way of doing a different type of rap to win. And so Magoo had a different type of sound. It was almost like a childlike voice, the way he rapped or whatever.
Yeah.
His voice itself, it almost sounded like if you didn't know no better, you thought you listened to it like a teenager, or almost like he was in middle school or something. But he had a certain flow about him that every song, I was just to the album again, both albums yesterday, Magoo just had a certain flow about him that every beat that he was on with Timbaland, he just rolled that beat all the way out. You know what I'm saying? And they had the perfect match to me when it comes to Timbaland's beats and his sound. But go ahead, bro. I'm gonna let you jump in.
Yeah, cause I can tell you that song. Ooh, love you, love you. Listen, man, that song right there with Timbaland and Magoo, man. When I first heard that and his cadence on how he was making the beats and man, he just Timbo was different, man. And then you had Missy, you had Leah, you had Genuine, you had Nicole Ray, you had Tweet, and then the magic that he made with one of the best white artists of our time, Justin Timberlake.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Timberlake was already rich when he came to Timberlake because NSYNC makes so much money, and he was a Disney star. But he states in a lot of interviews that Timberland took his sound to a whole nother level, man. That's wild beyond his imagination. He never thought that he would be in some of the rooms that Timberland put him in. You know what I mean? So, and I think when it comes to Magoo, everybody say, well, he's not that lyrical or that. But listen, man, I know lyrical cats that I can't listen to for more than 5 minutes because they don't have a voice that commands my attention. It's certain rappers that have a voice that commands attention. Or certain artists that have a voice that commands attention. So when you have a voice and you go in the studio and once you put that on wax and and you have a voice that commands attention, and when you submit it to one radio station and they kind of, it's like a whirlwind of program directors that share music, and before you know it, man, you own like 60 or 70 radio stations at one time because your voice commanded that attention. Your voice is different. It's nothing like they're playing on the radio nowadays. And so, man, I just say RIP to my brother, man. You definitely made an impact, and man, I just send prayers and blessings out to his family, man, and to Timbo and Missy, because all of them was really really tight. All of them went to high school together, man. So like they've been rocking for a very very long time, and for real too, because that's how Timbo and Magoo got together, and then people don't know that Timbo and Pharrell are cousins. So they grew up in church playing music together. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And Timbo was the hottest DJ at high school, and he had his name on flyers that he wasn't even DJing parties in high school. And so because his name was on the flyers, and passing out, these parties was packed because they thought he was gonna be the DJ. But there was a
Mm,
whole nother DJ. They just used his face for the promotion. In high school, man, and you got 700, 800 kids showing up at a party,
mm,
at a house
yeah.
party.
Mm-hmm.
So the house party got to turn into a whole yard party.
Mm,
You know
mm,
what I mean? So
yeah.
so 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 he was as I seen an interview with Magoo last night. He said we always know Tim was that guy, man. We always know that he was gonna do great, and we always know that him a DJ turning producer. He already knew music, and he already knew how to play instruments. So with that being said, man, once he got the MP6, that MPC,
Mm-hmm.
and with those piano sounds, those guitar sounds, and those violin sounds, the guitar sounds, and sax sounds, and Tim just put something different, man. You know what I mean? Because I can tell you now, man. We can say what we want to say, who the greatest female lyricist is, but the greatest hip hop female that's had the best career. Nobody has had a career like Missy Elliott. Nobody.
Nope.
Every
Nope.
time, every time Missy brought out a song, it charted in the top 10, if not the top
Mm,
5.
yeah.
Missy
Yeah.
and then Tim convinced her to start rapping, but she had a singing group called Phase, in high school, and they was hot in the DMV area, the DC, Maryland, in Virginia area. You know what I'm saying? They was really hot. They was in
Mm,
high school doing shows and doing 3-4 shows in the weekend and getting paid $750 a show in high school in 11th grade.
mm,
Yeah, yeah. So with that being said, man, and I tell people, man, don't sleep on Mr. Talent singing, because she can sing too, man. She can sing too, and she helped train people like Nicole Ray and Tweet and a chick from Virginia named Ebony Foster. They did a lot of background vocals for Genuine, and I was in DC at that time, man, in that area. So I had a chance to really meet people, like Tweed and Nicole Ray and Genuine and Drew Hill and I just had a chance to meet a lot of people, because shout out to my man Easy Tom E at WPGC out there in Greenbelt, Maryland. One of DMV biggest radio stations. Every time he had somebody come to the city, he would call me up, man. I got Gerald Levert here. I got Shaka Khan here. You know, I got Howard Hewitt here. He was just called me, man. I got the Lost Boys here, and the funny thing about the Lost Boys, man, is every time they came to DC, Mr. Cheeks used to hit me up, be like, "I'm here, man. I'm gonna send a car for you." You know what I
mm,
mean? And so we but after his brother passed away, I kind of lost contact with him. you know, because he was in a bad down spiral after Freaky Top passed away, man. But shout out to him, man, and yeah, man. But yeah, the brother Magoo gonna be missed, man. He had a lot of great, industry connections, a lot of friendships that turned into brotherhoods, and so, man, once again, shout out to his legacy and RIP to him, and prayers and blessings and condolences go out to his family and friends that was close to him.
Yeah. Before we move on, my favorite song was that the Night Rider joint. That to me at that time, that was
Uh-huh.
like the hottest song I ever heard in my life when I heard that Night Rider joint. You know
Right.
what I mean? Yeah, that was my joint right there. But yeah, moving on. I'm about to throw you for a left. This is not really the topic I was gonna bring up, but this is the one that it came into my mind last night. I mean, yeah, well, just now because me and Tay was talking about this. Oh, and then real quick, shout out to our partner, Village Global Network. Or whatever y'all see it at the top of the screen. If you're watching, if you're listening, Village Global Network is one of our partners. Whatever. We got 8 radio stations involved, 144 countries. Shout out to She Real Radio, 810 Studios. So shout out to everybody that we affiliated with. Follow us at Icon E 19 on Instagram, King Jacob 1974 on YouTube. Please follow us. Please subscribe at 910 Sports and Entertainment Network. And that's 910 Sports and Entertainment Network on YouTube or whatever. So definitely follow us at 95 South _ podcast on Instagram also. So all of that, please follow and subscribe to what we got going on. So anyway, getting back to the topic, man. So I'm about to put something at the bottom of the screen for you to see. And I always want to see your reaction to this because I'm about to tell you why I believe this could be true.
Well, here we go. Here we go again, man.
So for the people that can't see this but can hear me or see this, I'm going to make a case why Kevin Hart is the greatest comedian of all time. And I'm not talking about funny wise. That's not what I'm talking about. Funny is funny. Funny is very subjective. You know what I mean? Like some people love Dave Chappelle. I don't think Dave Chappelle is funny. That's me. You know what I'm saying? So some people have their favorites. Some people don't like certain old comedians. You might hear some of this generation say, well, they might not think of Eddie Murphy as funny or a Red Fox or whoever. So that's a subjective thing. I'm talking about almost like if you was arguing different ball players and their stats. If you look at Kevin Hart's stat level, first of all, you would have to put 2 or 3 comedians in one box just to add up to his one career. And because what I mean by that is the man has sold out stadiums and arenas on multiple occasions, not just one time. He's done it 4 different times. I don't think there's no comedian that could say that they sold out arenas, not just stadiums, on 4 different occasions. Also, he created his own comedy network. Nobody else has a whole network of comedians and doing their thing. You have comedians who have production companies, but his movie catalog is probably the only person that rivals him is probably movie catalog. And then I don't even think you can necessarily say that person. I was going to say Eddie Murphy. But the reason why you can't even see Eddie Murphy, because I don't think Eddie Murphy, a lot of his movies, he didn't really own the rights to the movie. He was just the star of the movie. You know what I'm saying? So if you look at his and if you look at he's already gone from owning everything to doing everything from comedy to drama to whatever. So that's why I say he created opportunities for other people that other comedians didn't even do. And at the same time, like people, like when me and Tay was talking about the other day, I said his box office numbers, people say, oh, because of social media. But people can't just make you be funny. Because the thing about Kevin Hart, he is funny. You could say all you like I said, it's weird because if you look at like a Chris Rock, if you look at Eddie Murphy, if you look at like even Dave Chappelle, who came up with Kevin Hart, they give him his props. But people like Mike Epps, Cat Williams, that was his peers, they don't want to give him credit. And I'm like, that's the weirdest thing where your peers don't want to give you credit, but the OGs that came up that you followed, he followed, give him his credit as being that guy. And I said, I guarantee you, if you sat down some of these other people, because I've heard of Chris Rock, I've heard some of the other ones that he followed say that he's the guy in comedy, where the ones on his level try not to give him his credit. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about funny wise. I'm just talking about career wise. He may be the greatest comedian of all time when it comes to his career. But what you think?
I really like how you just throw this out there. You just blossom like you just planted some white lilies for your granny or something, and just well, Jacob, I've just been studying Kevin Hart in his career, and so I don't know if you're writing the biopic or autobiography on Kevin Hart, man, but you did some digging, and he would be so proud of you, man, just phenomenally proud of you, man. So Kevin Hart, yes, he's did a lot. He's did a lot. And the reason why people say social media played a big part in Kevin Hart, no, it can't take away if he's funny or not. But it can but it does have a different reach for him to reach people. And so, I feel like in that era, of the Def Comedy Jam era, if even before Def Comedy Jam, if there was social media when Eddie Murphy was doing comedy, dog, it'd be crazy. And if there was social media like that when Martin Lawrence was hosting Def Comedy Jam, it still would be crazy. So, but yeah, what he's been able to do, and shout out to Dame Dash to put him in the first movie. You know what I mean? So I can't believe my man Dame, even though he's loud and belligerent. You know what I mean? And I definitely know that we wouldn't get along. So, but shout out to Dane for giving his illy Philly cat a chance. You know what I mean? But yeah, Kevin Hart is definitely a GOAT when it comes to production, when it comes to putting people on, when it comes to taking people just from a local a comedy stand-up bar and putting them on a main stage with him, where they're opening up for him along with 12, 13 different comedians, and they're traveling all around the country. Yeah, he did that, man. So, and he gets so much endorsement money now. I'm gonna just start calling him Kevin Capital One Hart. You know what I mean? Because every time you look up, he on Capital One commercial. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah. I mean, it's that's something to bring up, but a lot of people don't think Dave Chappelle funny, but I do. You know what I mean? Especially, when he did the Charlie Murphy episode, and when he was telling F your couch. You know what I mean? So I like Dave, and I like the movie Half Baked too. So you know what I mean? But Kevin Hart, yeah, he definitely go, man. Like, because he keep going and going and going, keep pushing. He don't never stop, no break. Even 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 doing COVID, he was doing skits and stuff. So people don't know that Kevin Hart inspired people like Country Wayne and all these guys like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then these guys made a lot of money doing COVID, like YouTube and Vivo. Like they made a lot of money. So, but yeah, shout out to Kevin Hart, man. Shout out to somebody that ain't him, but I think Kevin Hart is probably like yay high to a grasshopper. If I stood beside Kevin Hart, they would probably think he's one of them midget wrestlers. Like
Can't say big little people. Can't say big.
uh,
You gonna get trouble. Y'all say little people. They
well,
get
well,
they, big.
so pardon me, and after I say this, I got somebody I want to talk about too. But pardon me, I do apologize for saying that word, but the little people all over the land. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm gonna say this. I feel like Dave Chappelle is the most overrated comedian of all time.
Man, stop hating on Dave Chappelle, man.
Don't say this. I'm gonna leave him alone because he's done a lot for the community. But he reminds me of Dick Gregory, where they more of those activist type comedians, but they're not really funny. But like to me, the reason why I say he's the most overrated comedian because the skit show, it's been done several times before. Hee Haw, Flip Wilson, and Living Color, and they actually had real talent in what they was doing as far as the characters. Dave Chappelle, every character uses the same voice, no matter who it is. He uses the same voice. Ashley Larry was more funny, and people don't know Charlie Murphy wrote most of the skits on the show.
That's
So
right. That's right.
at the end of the day, what did Dave Chappelle really do for comedy that wasn't already done? So that's the
Listen,
most
man.
overrated.
We can go back and forth about this until 2026. But all I know is this right here, man. Whenever they said Dave Chappelle is on a bill, it sell out.
Yeah, I ain't hating on him for that. Hey, get yours. People think you funny. I'm just going by to tell you, I don't think he's funny. I wouldn't pay money to see him. But if people want to pay money to see him, that's fine. I wouldn't do it. But I mean, I would pay money. I would pay money to book him to get money, but I wouldn't pay money to see him out of my own hard-earned money to see him. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? That's a
All
whole
right.
different. That's.
I can understand that.
But yeah, go ahead.
That's a whole
What
different
you
ball game. So,
got? And I don't want to get too much in trouble. I
so,
don't know if it's like the
so,
beehive.
I know that this might be going. We're seeing some red flags and some shock waves. So, we're gonna talk about what Neo said regarding the LGBTQ community.
Oh Lord.
Neo said that he was raised in a substantial household that honors and respect the true gender of a male and a woman. So he said that he didn't believe in the same-sex marriages. He didn't believe in Adam and Steve, and and he didn't believe in Eve and Ellen. And so, he got a whole lot of backlash but so do I agree with him? I wholeheartedly agree with him. But to each his own. That's two in the maker. But as far as you want me to support that, nah, that don't happen. So, and read this article from right England, and they said that since the LGBT community is open now, and males that get sex change becoming women, they shouldn't call a woman's vagina a vagina anymore. They should call it the bonus hole. 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 Bro.
What?
So you want to try to take something from a natural woman? Man, you ain't walking around here with no cervix or nothing like that, man. How you gonna try to replace the natural woman, man? And then it's so disrespectful because the closest thing, uh, the closest thing for a woman proceeding in death is when they're having a child, man. They don't know whether they're gonna come out the operating room or what. And you want to like disrespect them, like get out of here, the bonus hole. So I can listen, man. You're a married man. You got a wife. That's that's the mother of your children. And I instantly feel disrespect because I'm close to my mom. I was close to both of my grandmothers, and I respect women, and I have a wife to be soon. So, what is this bonus hole crap?
Well, first of all, let's stop right there for a second. So, I'm not no big Bible thumper person. I know a couple of scriptures here and there, but the one thing I do know is that God created man and woman. He created the name. The names was put in place for a reason. Penis, vagina, whatever. So for us to change that is totally disrespectful to women because just say an LGBTQ community person, whatever, got a sex change and got a vagina. you still don't have a period every month. You still can't have a baby out there on whatever. So at the end of the day, if you can't reproduce and you don't go through what women go through with the cramping and with the bleeding and all of that they have to go through until they probably in their 50s when they finally have menopause or whatever, or have some kind of surgery to stop it all, then other than that, you can't you'd have to call their whole whatever they decide to put the change to something else. Just like when I've always said that if a man and a woman, or a man and a man get married, or a woman and a woman get married, it shouldn't be called marriage. It should be called something else. You know what I'm saying? Y'all should call it something else or whatever. Because I
It should be
understand.
called. It should be called scary.
Anyway, I ain't gonna go down that path. I ain't gonna go down that road because it ain't my business. But the one thing I do understand why they fought, I didn't understand why we had to vote on it a few years ago. I think it was about maybe like 2012, I think it was, where they actually had voting for marriage rights for same-sex marriages. And I'm like, why do I have to vote on this? Like, that's none of my business. But I understand why they were fighting for it. Because part of the reason was because, let's just say I'm a man and I'm married to another man or dating another man or whatever you want to call it. We together for 10, 15, 20 years. They die. I can't get their belongings, even though we've been living together like we've been together all these years, like we married. So in other words, they wanted to get married from the legal standpoint of when they die, I can get their insurance, I can get their belongings, just like a marriage between a man and a woman. So I get that part. I don't.
So,
If
so, Icon E, do you think that another president would come in and get this bill changed? Because
it
for
depends on
years, you couldn't do it.
it depends on the president. Like, first of all, whatever president comes in is going to have to make that known from the gate how he feels. Most people that's probably running for president is not going to do that because they know they're going to automatically lose votes if they go against that community off the rip. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
they would have
right. Because it's definitely a huge community, for real, for real.
to, so they would have to almost lie in their campaign to get in and then change it. But if they came in saying, "Oh, I don't believe in same-sex marriages and I don't believe in this and believe in that," when it comes to the LGBT community, then they probably wouldn't get voted in. So that would be, to me, if I was a politician, because we know all of them lie. If it was me, if I'm a politician, I ain't gonna do. I wouldn't do that if I'm trying to win. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna lie my way through, and then on the other side, I'm gonna do what I gotta do if I'm a politician. You know what I'm saying? Because we know all of them lie. You know what I mean? Well, most of them. I ain't gonna say all, because it's never all in anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm using my Shannon Sharp lingo. It ain't all in everything, but most of them lie. You know what I mean, or whatever. Especially to get
Okay,
into that.
yeah, of course they do. So on the other note, I just want to know, man. I don't really care too much myself, but why do people care so much about Donald Trump getting indicted and going to prison? Why does it matter now that he's no longer in office? Like, why do you really care? Is it just something to talk about, or is there several reasons why people should care?
Yeah. Well, for number one reason, if he actually goes to prison or in the middle of a lawsuit, a case the whole time, he can't become president again. You got to think he's been basically revving up to run again since he got out the White House. Like this always been planned out. He got so many backers across the country that's willing to give him money as soon as he put out his whatever you call it when you say you about to run again. So as soon as he says
Yeah.
that, he got a lot of people. I'm talking about rich farmers, you know what I'm saying? All kind of folks that's willing to put their money behind him again to get him back in the White House. You got people, you got black folks that's willing to put money behind him. I've met black folks that would tell you they would vote for Donald Trump again because they felt like the most money they ever made, especially like truckers, people in that field, in the transportation industry. They feel like they made more money when he was in the White House than ever. Because you look at the gas prices right now, even though we put all the gas prices on Biden, but it's not all on Biden. Some of this stuff comes from the fact that they gave away all this free money, and they got to get it back from somehow. That's what it really came from. And all of a sudden, we running out of oil.
Well,
It's all
technically,
about oil.
play. If America didn't give all these allies this money, excuse me, French, my heart to the Ukraine for what they did. 65,000 homeless veterans in the Union of America. Why did we give Ukraine $30 billion? Why?
Hey, I'll never understand why we give all
If
these
you
countries
was
money.
if you was on fire, a Ukrainian person would need you to put the fire. They don't know you from a damn can of paint, man. And you got people who put their life on the line, man. Who cripple, who paralyze limbs, and they're veterans. And you got 65,000 veterans in the United States of America that's homeless. And you want to give Ukraine some money? Get out of here, man. Like, what's wrong with us, man? What is wrong with the United States, man?
Hey, you know, when you lay in the bed with somebody and you indebted to them, then you're gonna do stuff. You're gonna do what you gotta do to keep that relationship going. See, the thing about it is we're not lenders, we're borrowers. But then we ask the people in America, we always want to turn them down or ask the people in America to borrow from them, from our own country. So people in America, see, other countries sometimes give their people money to help them start businesses and do stuff. But in America, we always asking the people in America to always borrow against the system that they know they can't pay back to. You know what I mean? So, and it's weird because America goes out and owes all this money to other countries because they're always borrowing money they're giving away money, but they're borrowing money at the same time. So they have to give away and borrow all the time to keep these relationships going. So they borrow from one country to give to another country. But then the people in America, when you go on to any big city in America, you see hundreds of thousands of homeless people that you're not even taking care of. Or you see people living foot to mouth, you know what I'm saying, in bad neighborhoods, and you wonder why the country is the way it is. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't talking about black folks. I'm talking about all together. You see white folks is just as poor as black folks. It's probably more, be honest with you, it's probably actually more poor white folks than it is black folks because there's more white people in America. But it's actually more poor white folks or it is black folks in America. But at least they have stuff set up for them in certain cases. With us, you know what I mean? They just throw us to the wolves. They got rid of YMCAs. They gentrification of all the neighborhoods now. So at some point they're gonna push all the black folks and all the poor people to one side of the country or one area or whatever. Whether it's gonna be down in the South again or if it's gonna be somewhere. I remember hearing about, I think it was Seattle. Well, Seattle took all their homeless people, put them on a bus, and I think brought them to Atlanta and whatever. This was like before, like 3-4 years ago. So they tricked them to thinking they was going somewhere, and they brought they didn't want any homeless people in Seattle. They put them on I think it was Seattle, either Seattle or Portland, Oregon, one of the two. And they put them on a bus and brought them to Atlanta and dropped them all these homeless people out in Atlanta. But they ain't gonna tell you that. Man. So I mean, but that's just the way. What'd you say?
Man, that's sad. That's sad. On another note, that's just the way it is. On another note, before I out and get out of here, man. 2023, the hip hop culture celebrates the 50th anniversary of hip hop. But how can you celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip hop and not one single artist has brought out a #1 Billboard charted album? But we're celebrating 50 years of hip hop. How does that make the 50th anniversary of hip hop look? You have the
Well,
floor, sir.
well, I'm gonna say this: it's the record label's fault. That's all it is. Because if you look at the foundation of how hip hop was started, and I'm not even talking about musical wise, I'm talking about how artists got on. It used to be a time, and I think it was my son was telling me this, but he said that basically with people that was online, it might have been you, I can't remember, but whoever was telling me that people was going online was arguing with the labels about why don't y'all go back to actually like allowing artists to come up to the studio to the record labels and actually give you a demo, not based off of Spotify sales or YouTube numbers, none of that. You know what I'm saying? What happened to actually having an artist be able to just come up to you in the streets and say, I got this new record, whatever, please listen to it. You know what I mean? I remember hearing Ali from the St. Lunatics talk about in his interview, and he was talking about how basically him and Nelly went up to the radio station and banged on the glass and said, please listen to this record, please listen to this record, and begged them, said, at least listen 30 seconds of it. And they actually put the record on the radio station, and the record blew up. So I think we need to get back to actually authentically going and finding artists who's actually talented based off of talent and not based off of sales. Because then what happens
Organic.
is,
Yes.
if I like the song, I may not know who the artist is. I may not care who the artist is. You know what I'm saying? Every generation have been through that. And I'm not gonna just say it's this generation. We had artists back in the day who had one-hit wonders, and we never thought twice about the artist again. We just knew the song or whatever. I could tell you 10 songs out there that's probably just like that. I'll be like, dang, oh, I forgot. I remember the artist's name, but I couldn't tell you what they looked like if I walked into them in the streets. But at the same time, at least back then, whoever those artists that got that record deal, it wasn't based off of, oh, they got a big huge following in New York, or they got a big huge following over here, or they got a this, that, and the third, or what. No, it was based off of what I'm looking at. Do I like what I'm looking at, and can I do something with it? If you look at
Is it
Loud
marketable?
Records, exactly.
Is it marketable? Is it marketable?
Exactly. Loud Records probably has the most important catalog in history of hip hop. They had Wu-Tang Clan, they had Mobb Deep, they had Nori, they had what's the group over the Alcoholics. A lot of people don't know who that is, but they're very influential on the West Coast. So they had a catalog and I'm just naming a few. But if you go back and look at Loud Records catalog of artists, and most of their artists was based on Steve Rifkin just seeing these artists and saying, I can do something with that. You know what I'm saying?
See,
And that's
we need more people like Steve Rifkin, man. Like for real,
exactly.
man. That believe in artists, man, and understand that there's a market for each artist. So you got down south, you got up north, you got Midwest in LA. Steve Rifkin was the type that he would pick 5 singles out your album, and he would understand what single goes in what market, and then once those singles get buzzing in those market, he would intertwine all those singles together and put on this phenomenal tour all across the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so that's what we need, man. But that's what I wanted to ask, man, and you definitely gave me my answer, man. So that's all I have for this evening.
Well, brother, like I said, once again, I'm glad we came on here and chopped it up, you know what I mean, and be able to have some great discussions. You know, we have a lot of great interviews, but sometimes me and my brother just come here and we just do what we do and talk about different things in life. And sometimes that's the best discussions and the best episodes that I enjoy the most sometimes. So basically, man, you know, everybody just tune in tomorrow night. We're gonna have our sports 910 sports on. We coming on weird times this week because this weekend we're gonna be at the Southern Soul Conference here in Atlanta, Georgia. We moving around a lot right now, so it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? I put on Facebook last night I need to put up a bat signal. You know what I'm saying, for people to reach out to us because it's getting that crazy or whatever. You know what I mean? I have to put up a 95 South and 910 sports bat a signal in the sky. Maybe I come up with a commercial or banner or something like that or something crazy.
Yeah. That's what's up. That's what's up. Oh, hell no.
Well, anyway, my brother, salute to you once again. You know
Salute back at you.
Everybody have a blessed night. We out of here.
Peace.
We got the good vibe, got the 1942 pouring in my cup. In the session real loud, good gas, yeah, you know we about to roll it up.